It's the start of a new year and you're planning out your travels for the rest of the year and how to book those trips on points. You've heard your favorite YouTube channel talk about the Aeroplan program a lot, but you've also heard a few downsides to the Aeroplan program, like dynamic pricing on Air Canada flights and high prices on partner airlines to certain destinations. So now you're wondering, for the trips you like to go on, is it perhaps worth looking beyond Aeroplan and getting more creative, or perhaps even ditching Aeroplan for good? In this video, we'll consider a few such scenarios. We'll start with economy class trips and when it makes sense to use Aeroplan versus other points, and then towards the end of the video, we'll talk about those aspirational first class trips, so make sure to stick around towards the end if you're interested in using your points that way. For now, it's March, and over March break, you'd like to take your family of 4 somewhere warm, somewhere close by, a place that's not too far away that you can enjoy over that 1 week period. Now, since it's not too far away, you're content to book in economy class for this simple trip, and you're wondering, should I use my Aeroplan points, or perhaps a different loyalty program, or even pay cash? Now, this is where Aeroplan can be a good option, and to its credit, the program has gotten a lot better in recent years with some of the changes that it's made. You can book any seat on any Air Canada flight using your Aeroplan points, even though the pricing may vary dynamically based on the underlying demand. But this type of simple economy class trip within North America is one where there's lots of competition in terms of the best way to book, between the various different points programs and various different airlines offering cheap fares for travel within North America. So that means you should always compare your options between using Aeroplan points, buying a cash fare, or using different points programs like WestJet, or RBC and CIBC's loyalty charts, or Scotiabank and TD rewards, and so on and so forth. And even if you find that Aeroplan comes out on top because they have cheap pricing in economy class, you should be asking yourself the question whether you might have other possibilities to use Aeroplan points for even higher value in the future instead. If your travel plans aren't just limited to these simple North American trips in economy class, then maybe it's a better idea to save your Aeroplan points for when they can deliver higher value on international trips and use one of the other booking methods instead. For example, right now the WestJet World Elite MasterCard is offering $450 WestJet dollars plus a first year free and a $0 companion voucher. If both you and your spouse got this card, then you'd both be able to book a round-trip flight from Toronto to Florida over the March break, and using the 2 companion vouchers cover the flights for the kids as well. Alternatively, if you're traveling light and you don't care about checked baggage, then you can take advantage of one of Flair Airlines' fair deals for $200 round trip from Toronto to Orlando. That's pretty unbeatable in terms of value, no matter which type of points you're using. So with these simple trips, make sure to comparison shop between Aeroplan and your other options, and consider saving your Aeroplan points for a higher value international trip, let's say in June. But before June, it's April. Spring is here, you're looking forward to your summer travels, but in the meantime, you're wondering if there's any way you can get even better at earning points and redeeming points and the art of traveling the world at a fraction of the price. And that's why you decide to attend the Prince of Travel signature event, Montreal 2022, which is being hosted at the W Hotel Montreal on April 2nd. I'm very excited to bring our signature event series to Montreal this year. There's going to be some awesome info sessions and discussion panels, as well as some amazing prizes like a free night stay in the W Hotel's Wow Suite, plus a $500 prepaid MasterCard, courtesy of our sponsor HSBC and available only to HSBC cardholders. Tickets are now on sale via the link in the description below, and make sure you grab your ticket before it's gone so that you don't miss out. So now it's June, and you're thinking about using your hotel points to explore somewhere that you haven't been before. Whether that's perhaps pursuing the cooler weather in South Africa, or maybe finally burning your hotel points for that dream vacation to the Maldives. Now, if you'd like to travel business class to these destinations, it's going to cost you $4,000 or $5,000 or more if you're paying with cash. So booking with points is definitely the best way. Since this is an international trip and you like to fly in business class, your first instinct is to go to Aeroplan and see how many points it would cost. However, when you look at these particular regions of the world, you'll notice that they're quite unfavorably priced. From North America to either South Africa or the Maldives, you're looking at flying over 8,000 miles in distance, which means that on the North America to Atlantic zone chart, you'll definitely be paying 100,000 Aeroplan points one way for the business class flight. For a round trip, that's going to be 200,000 Aeroplan points, and if you're booking for multiple passengers, let's say you're traveling as a couple, it only adds up from there. Indeed, these parts of the world, Africa, the Indian subcontinent, and to some extent the Middle East, can be a little bit challenging with Aeroplan points because of the sheer number of points that's required. And so I have a few suggestions for other alternative sweet spots that you might consider. The first is Alaska Mileage Plan, which offers a Canadian co-branded credit card with the MBNA Alaska MasterCards, allowing you to earn Alaska miles relatively quickly using the welcome bonus. There's a few useful Alaska sweet spots to know about, although some of these might be dependent on airlines restoring their routes as we emerge out of the pandemic. The first one here is to fly Japan Airlines business class from North America to Japan and then onwards to Delhi, the capital of India, for only 60,000 Alaska miles. From New Delhi, you can then fly onwards to other points in the Indian subcontinent, including the Maldives, for a very reasonable cash fare. And paying only 60,000 Alaska miles for the one-way can be a much better deal than 100,000 Aeroplan points required to book the same journey. The other opportunity here is the well-known sweet spot of paying only 70,000 Alaska miles for Cathay Pacific first class from North America to Hong Kong, followed by business class from Hong Kong to Johannesburg or Cape Town. This is going to depend on Cathay Pacific restoring their routes to South Africa while the sweet spot is still around, but if it is, then paying 70,000 Alaska miles for first class to South Africa, it's a hell of a better deal than paying 100,000 Aeroplan points for only business class. You can also consider using the American Airlines Advantage program to fly to places like India, the Maldives, and South Africa at a very good value and on a very strong product in the form of Qatar Airways Q Suites. It only costs 70,000 American miles to fly one way on Q Suites from North America to the Middle East or the Indian subcontinent, and only 75,000 miles to go all the way down to South Africa if you wanted. Q Suites is considered one of the world's best business class products, and again, 70,000 to 75,000 American miles one way seems like a much better deal than 100,000 Aeroplan points to the same place. If you need American miles, they're a 1 to 0.7 transfer partner from RBC Avion, and right now there's 3 credit cards offering 35,000 Avion points as a welcome bonus, and if you switch an existing RBC card to an Avion product, you'll also get the base level bonus of 15,000 Avion points when you switch. Finally, here's another alternative for those of you with US credit cards. You can transfer your US MR points to ANA Mileage Club and get a very good deal on flights to Africa, the Middle East, and the Indian subcontinent as well. With the ANA reward card, you only pay 104,000 ANA miles for a round-trip journey to Africa or the Middle East, or 136,000 ANA miles for a round-trip journey to India or the Maldives. Again, these are round-trip prices, so this compares very favorably to the 200,000 Aeroplan points that you'd have to pay if you booked through Aeroplan. The limitation with ANA is that you do have to book round-trip and it's not valid on one-way awards, and of course, you do need US credit cards to earn ANA points, but if you need help getting US credit cards as a Canadian, you can check out our video guide in the description below. Now, if you found this video useful so far and you're excited to use your points for all these sweet spots, then give the video a like down below to help support the channel. And finally, now it's October, and at this point in the year, Japan has finally reopened their borders. Fingers crossed. And what better way to celebrate than to fly all the way to Japan in ANA's new first class seat, or perhaps Japan Airlines first class with their incredible onboard dining and liquor selection. A flight that would otherwise cost $22,000, but of course we're booking on points. Once again, your first instinct might be to go with Aeroplan points, but upon looking at the flight reward charts, North America to Pacific Zone in first class is gonna cost you a whopping 110 to 130,000 Aeroplan points. That's just one way for one person, so you're gonna need a lot of Aeroplan points to make this trip happen. Surely there's gotta be a better way. In this case, I'm also pleased to let you know that there are much better options than Aeroplan. Let's take it back to Alaska miles, where only 70,000 Alaska miles will get you a one-way first class flight on Japan Airlines from North America to Tokyo. Now, what about first class on the other Japanese airline, ANA? Well, in this case, there's actually an even better sweet spot, but again, it will require you to dabble into US credit cards, but in this case, it's very much worthwhile. That's because you can transfer 60,000 Amex US points to Virgin Atlantic and redeem those 60,000 Virgin Atlantic miles for a one-way flight on ANA first class. That's right, it's 60,000 miles compared to 130,000 points with Aeroplan. It's less than half the amount that Aeroplan charges, which is why the Virgin Atlantic sweet spot is so attractive for those of you who want to fly one of the world's best products on your way to Japan. In fact, I dare say the Virgin Atlantic sweet spot for ANA first class is one of the best sweet spots that exists out there right now. So if it interests you at all and you'd like to take advantage of it, then I'd start planning around it sooner rather than later. And now we get to December. You've had a very fruitful year of travel and you're starting to look at the upcoming year. And as you look at your Aeroplan balance, you're wondering now if all these Aeroplan points you've collected were for nothing. But of course, the answer here is no. Aeroplan points remains one of the strongest points currencies in Canada because of how well-rounded it is. Whether you're looking to take simple trips within North America or premium trips to other parts of the world, Aeroplan may not be the best choice at all times, but it's going to offer you competitive value during most times. To look at some examples that we haven't touched upon in this video, a business class flight from the East Coast to Europe for 60,000 to 70,000 Aeroplan points is a very competitive price, and you're not really going to beat that looking at other programs. Similarly, you can pay 85,000 Aeroplan points for a flight from North America to Europe and then to Southeast Asia, and you can add a stopover in the middle in Europe for an extra 5,000 points. That's a level of flexibility that few other programs around the world can match. Throw in the fact that Aeroplan points are so easily earned in Canada with American Express points transferring 1-to-1, plus 11 co-branded credit cards that you can get and earn the welcome bonuses as well as put your spending on, and Aeroplan's definitely going to be the first choice loyalty program for most Canadian travelers. It's just not the only place that you should look. But here's the thing, so far we've only talked about using your points optimally for flight redemptions, and there's a whole other set of expenses that you have to pay when you're traveling the world, and that's of course hotels and places to stay. The question is, where should you be using your points? Is it on flights or is it on hotels? And you can go ahead and check out this video on the channel to find out more about this conundrum between redeeming your points for airlines versus hotels.